Hey Queen, let's talk about the pros and cons of doing your own PR versus hiring a PR agency. Let's start with hiring a PR agency. The main benefit here is the fact that you get to partner with industry experts. You don't have to figure things out yourself, spend time troubleshooting. You actually get to work with people who know exactly how things work. And not only that, but they've already established relationships and connections within the media. So you get to leverage those. On the other hand, because they own those relationships, not you, typically those relationships end when your partnership with the PR agency ends. So you can't continue to leverage those connections when your contract is over. Also, as a Black brand, lack of representation could be an issue because the PR industry is predominantly white. Only 8.3% of the PR industry is African American, and only 30% of executives in the PR industry are women. So you could potentially run into issues where there's unconscious bias, misrepresentation, poor representation, where you're put on platforms that don't make sense, that won't actually connect you to the right audience. And of course, we've seen how culture is something that doesn't always translate and that people outside of a culture don't always grasp and understand. And lastly, PR agencies can be expensive. On average, it costs about $3,000 to $5,000 a month on the low end. So those are some things to keep in mind if you're considering working with a PR agency. Let's look at some of the benefits of learning how to do PR yourself or building an in-house team to do it for you. You know your business and your customer inside out. You are a total expert when it comes to that. So you are the best person to speak on it because you don't need to be sold the vision and you don't have any questions or clarification. So there aren't going to be any misunderstandings when it comes to actually speaking on your brand. Also, because you are in the business and intimately familiar with the business and your brand goals, your sales goals, your marketing goals, it's going to be a lot easier for you to make sure that your PR goals are in alignment versus working with people outside of your business and having to constantly communicate back and forth to make sure that the dots are actually connecting. And then there's the fact that you actually own your relationships, which is major. The thing about building these connections is you get to hold on to them long term and continue to leverage them for as long as you are in business, whether that's in your current business or building new businesses. Those are connections that you take with you regardless of where you go. They become a part of your legacy. They don't expire once your partnership with an agency does. One benefit that can be overlooked sometimes as well is the fact that you are your number one priority when you're working on your business. When you're working with an agency and they have multiple customers, you probably won't be the priority. And depending on how much you're spending with them, you could be pretty low on the totem pole. Whereas if you're doing it yourself or you have your own team working on it, that isn't something that you're going to have to be concerned about. And then, of course, because you're doing it yourself, it's more cost effective. You aren't spending that money outsourcing. So instead, you can recoup those costs and spend it on marketing or business development or wherever you want to spend it within your business. Keep in mind, though, that you will be making an investment when it comes to time, because making the time to learn the correct way to do PR for your business so that you have that solid foundation is going to be key to your success. And of course, if you're doing your own PR, the one thing that I always point out is the fact that you can't hide. You can't hide behind a team of people. You're going to be the go-to. You're going to be the face. You're going to be the voice. Of course, there are other ways to do it with brand ambassadors, but the most effective way to do it if you're doing it yourself is to be your own face and voice. If you don't have an issue speaking on your brand, doing interviews, whether that's for radio, TV, magazines, newspapers, whatever, and you want to learn how to do PR for yourself so that you can get your brand on these platforms in front of more people so you can have a bigger impact, then grab my free case study video. I walk you through how to get publicity for your business without breaking the bank. All you have to do is enter your best email address and you'll get instant access to it.